What's good, YouTube? It's me, Squid, back in the next video. The ban list just dropped. What the heck? Sorry, guys, this is completely late, but I thought I'd give my thoughts anyways because this is a crazy ban list. Probably one of the biggest changes ban list that has happened in like the past couple of years at least, and by and far the list of the year. What an early Christmas present that Konami R&D decided to give us. I did kind of spoil myself with this earlier this morning because I just could not wait. But yeah, let's dive in. Starting off with the forbidden list. Yugioh and Kelbeck. Yes, these cards absolutely needed to go. You can ask any player in the world, and I guarantee you they will agree that this card needed to go. Literally a week after it was printed, these cards were too powerful for the game. Not even like a couple of hours that they were legal in the TCG, everyone should have just been like, wow, these cards are absolutely bonkers. Milling five cards, and having effects in the hand as well on top of all of that. There's the sole reason that tiers were just super sacky. You could have like the worst tier players in the world just auto win because they go like, you know, effect mill 2, mill Yugioh, mill Kelbeck, effect, mill like 10 more, right? So it's very sacky. I still think tiers will be playable because the field spell is still at 3, Perlorano's at 3. The deck hasn't really lost anything aside from these guys, which is a sizable hit, but I still think it's somewhat playable to the extent of what the metagame is because everything got watered down, right? Like before Phantom Nightmare comes out, all the decks are currently very, very watered down. It kind of reminds me of like a modern Edison format. Maybe people will revisit this format and come back in the future because every good deck eventually got neutered for the most part. That's going to change when Phantom Nightmare comes out, but you know, for the current couple of weeks, it's as it is. Mathemax Circular, I did not see this one coming. I don't know what the heck happened. I guess like somebody was like, wow, Joshua Schmidt hits this card, so let's ban this card. The deck's not doing anything. The deck has been completely dead, even in the OCG, the TCG. I do agree though, Circular is the type of card that's absolutely crazy. You can obviously search off of Small World and just like go full combo, set up the trap, and get a million resources off one card. But I mean, again, the Bystials exist, Dita Crows exist, and no one was playing Mathemax. So this is probably like a delayed hit somehow that was in the back scene. Maybe R&D Konami Japan was like, yeah, you guys cannot ban this card, you have to limit it first. And then TCG was like, yeah, we want to ban this card sooner or later, so we'll just do it now. So I mean, I don't mind, right? Like the deck was just very degenerate at its full power, so it's good to see it go. A Sold was one that should have happened like in Goki format. This card has always been busted. It's a card that special summons from the deck. Guys, cards that interact with the deck are generally very broken. We had Summoner, Sorceress, Halka Fibrax, now he's Sold. There's also cards like Beatrice that should probably get axed sooner or later. These type of cards should never be in the game because they're always super broken, especially when they're generic link monsters. Like you can dump the equipped spells, you can special summon a monster that doesn't get its effect negated, you get to add a monster as well that you can use for follow-up. Just does way too much. Add back Phoenix Blade, you know, you guys know the drill. It's just too broken in my opinion, so I'm glad that they axed it. Limited cards. This was a surprising one. There were a lot of limited cards, actually. Orcust Horror. This one should have came back a while ago. It's already at 1 in the OCG for, I think, at least 2 or 3, like probably 2 years now. The card just never really did anything. I still like how they're giving it back to us so we can experiment. I don't think the deck is very good at all. It's already been power crap. You know, like Dingarusu doesn't do anything anymore in the modern game. And it's good that they have like a 1-card starter now, just being able to normal summon that 1 level 4 dude and dump the Harp Horror, use the effect to banish and go kind of like full combo if it's even somewhat of a combo. So it's good that this card came back. You know, Bystials exist, Dita Crows exist, so we don't really care even if it was a problem. Redox is not surprising at all. I honestly think all the Dragon Rulers can come back because they're not broken at all. Probably to 3. It's just been power crap. Rank 7s don't do anything. We have stronger rank 7 engines like Kashira that exist that are not very played anymore. And I think, you know, Redux is nice for like certain rogue decks like Vernus Sylphs, like the Earth decks. It's like a watered down Vernus Sylph if you look at it. Like the Vernus Sylphs are power crap Redoxes. And this card just does not do anything on its own. It's good for the Earth decks, whatever. We don't have Block Dragon, so it's not a big deal. Airlifter to 1, yes, this is something that needed to happen. I'm surprised this is the only hit to Rescue Ace. I guess they do want to make it playable somewhat because it's only been really full power with the Wanted stuff coming out as of the past couple of months. So they want it to be playable for another format. Spoiler alert, this is probably still one of the top 3 decks after we get Phantom Nightmare because how Populous is so crazy of a card. You can add it off a Bonfire and then you just set up and the original simple spoils, send the Populous and special out the Hydrant, add Airlifter, you're still in the race, right? So it's like Airlifter to 1 doesn't really do anything, especially after Phantom Nightmare comes out. They probably should have hit Emergency to 1 too, but I guess they didn't really want to neuter the deck immediately. Unchained Soul of Shavara, this one hurts a lot. Yes, this is probably the best card in the Unchained deck, and now they do have to actually play the 2 blue dogs, I think, in order to make it so you can actually go Tour Guide, send the Shavara, normal combo, and then still end on a DDD High Wave King Caesar. So that does really hurt the deck. I think the deck is close to borderline unplayable now, especially with the new stuff coming out in Phantom Nightmare that's just gonna leave Unchained Power Crept as is. So yeah, it does really hurt the deck. I mean, Unchained players unfortunately are getting the shaft of the stick on this Boundless, especially out of all the hits. I think this one hurts very much so the worst. Sunvalon, Dryas, and Healer, these ones also do hurt the plant deck. I'm not sure if they can still even do their 1-card combo anymore. In fact, because you did need multiple copies of Healer at least, I think. So that actually hurts the deck quite a bit until they get new support. I know they're getting new Aromage support, so maybe that does make the plant deck somewhat playable. But let's be honest, guys, this deck was really degenerate. 1 card, 1 seed blossoming into an entire forest. I would rather it be the type of multiple card combo deck because 1 card is just too much. And that deck is very annoying. The fact that it had a very low representation because no one just really liked enjoying playing it and still was able to top a lot of events and even win a lot of Euro YCSs meant that it probably needed to be hit sooner or later, so I'm glad they did that. If the World Challenge Justiciar, I think the card is power crap, but honestly, this type of card is really broken. But then again, so was Denlong, and they brought back Denlong. That didn't really do anything. So I guess Ib could just come back now and not really do anything either. Bear in mind that you do have to play a lot of bricks to actually make this even remotely viable. So the fact that, you know, Konami's like, yeah, the power craft of the game is a lot faster now. You have a lot of 1-card combos, and Ib is just like, you know, it's probably not worth it. But I'm sure there might be some kind of 60-card pile with like the new bonfire stuff with potentially using Ib to go into some degenerate combo. We'll just wait and see. If she's broken, we can just reban her. Snatch Steal is a crazy one. The last time this card was actually unbanned, if you guys remember, was 2014, nearly 10 years ago, during Necros and Burning Abyss format, where it was absolutely busted in the Burning Abyss mirror match. Activating the Snatch Steal and stealing like a Dante or something was so crazy that they had to reban it on the spot, so it was only freed for that one format. And now it's brought back because they probably realized, hey, Change of Heart is not very good, so Snatch Steal is like a worse edition of Change of Heart, especially with the Sode ban, because you could not have this card with the Sode. You would have been able to send the Snatch Steal for cost and then add it back with one of the Infernoble and steal like one of your opponent's monsters. So I'm glad they actually had the rationale to say, okay, Snatch Steal can now come back. I think you can still search it off of Power Tool Dragon and maybe the level 9 Power Tool Dragon. I'm not sure what the ruling is there, but that's just like interesting. It's too cute to be relevant. And well, I guess we already have Tactics Talent, right? This is a non-targeting take, which is probably better than Change of Heart and Snatch Steal, having the different modes to rip a hand or draw cards. So Snatch Steal's fine. Like, yeah, it can be interacted with. You can Cosmic Cyclone, how that works, and yada yada. The next couple of hits is the one that really shocked me. Goes in Match Rivalry, and there can be only 1-to-1. Oh, yes. This is probably one of the best hits ever. Thank you, Konami. This should have happened years ago. Everyone was saying Goes in Match and Rivalry, and there can be only 1 is broken. Have you guys ever sat across the table and somebody flips and there can be only 1? Game 1, and you're just like, oh yeah, I have no else in my deck. Okay, I'll scoop. Because that's what the cards did. There can be only 1, especially because nowadays all the archetype decks are like the same type of monsters. So that one random deck that can actually play There Can Be Only 1 just flips it and it's like auto win. Obviously, Anti-Spell and Snatch Skill Drain are 2 more cards that absolutely should have been on here alongside these cards. But hey, I'll take it. Okay, we'll take it. Anti-Spell it lives for now. Okay, it's annoying, but sooner or later it'll probably hit it. And then Skill Drain is like, all right, okay. Skill Drain can be played in a lot less decks and There Can Be Only 1. I'll take it for now. Okay, what next? Semi-limits. Semi-limit of Dino Wrestler Makertops. I don't know. This card is honestly a little bit too powerful in my opinion. It's always a 2-for-1. 2600 attack. You can swing over problematic cards like Fenrir. You can go into Omni Negate boards and bait out a Negate. You can get rid of any Floodgate, which is insane. This is absolutely insane against Floodgates like Skill Drain, as well as Anti-Spell Fragments because it's a monster effect. 2600 is a whopping huge body. I like how they're freeing a lot of the board wipes here, especially. I think Pankratops is somewhat good for the game now that going first is so oppressive, and especially now that we're trending towards more of a mid-range grindy game with a lot less Omni Negates. It's not like combo heavy. So now Dino Wrestler definitely helps a lot against that, being able to like bait for 2-for-1. Going second, you're kind of down, and it kind of like promotes that grind game. So I could see it come back, but at the same time, it's a very powerful high impact card. So I'm kind of on the fence, but as a going second, person who loses a lot of arrows, I will take this and say I welcome the Dino Wrestler Overlord. I think 2 is going to be a very standard-sided card for the foreseeable future. It reminds me a lot of when Cyber Dragon went to 2 originally in the old formats. So yeah, this is a Cyber Dragon on crack. Speedroid Terratop is interesting. I guess MX Saber Invoker is just never getting unbanned in the TCG because Terratop is now at 2. Speedroid players can actually rejoice because that deck is somewhat playable, especially with the Cashier stuff, and Terratop just happens to be a very, very good extender. Obviously, the drawback is you do have to play the 1 brick, the Takum Tomborg, if you want to splash into another deck, so it might not be immediately worth it, but being able to go into a free rank 3 or like a Link 3 like Cherubini without using your normal summon seems pretty freaking good. So we'll test the water, see how it goes. I don't mind. I mean, the more changes the better. I always like changes. Sleeping Memory to 2 doesn't really hurt the pure leads that much at all. I think it makes it so they cannot reveal 3 off the My Friend, but originally they're probably revealing like 2 My Friend and then the Delicious as well, so it doesn't really change anything. And maybe, honestly, the deck could have probably received a couple more hits, like My Friend, maybe 2, 2, or 1, but, you know, whatever. I guess we're still going to have to deal with XP Lenore here and there in the format. And then last but not least, the Unlimited. Wow, there's a lot of Unlimited cards. Infernity Archfiend, that's nice. Infinities are literally unplayable. This should have happened, like, what, like 5 years ago at the very minimum. So, okay, I'll test out Infernity. It's always been like one of those annoying go first FTK decks, but hey, it doesn't do anything with the meta with Bystials, DD Crows, and it cannot go second, that's for sure, because you cannot play without a hand. Cashier Unicorn, I guess this could come back to 3. We already got a Rise Heart banned. It turns out that was the only major problem with the deck, so I'm glad Konami had some foresight to realize, hey, you guys can have another Unicorn, sure. Shifter, unfortunately, seems to be still alive, which is annoying. They missed Shifter, Anti-Spell, and Skill Drain, but, you know, whatever, and Featherstorm, and, like, potentially Dimensional Barrier as well, but yeah, okay, I'll take what we can get. Mind Control to 3, I suppose. The last time this came to 3, it was actually really busted during like that dinosaur format where every go second dino was playing like 3 Mind Control. I think it was the Norcus Sky Striker format as well. Then it went to 2 and it was still broken in dinos, and everyone's like, okay, it goes back to 1. But obviously, now that we have Change of Heart and Snatch Steel and Triple Tactics Talent, Mind Control has been power crafted targets. You can't do anything with the monster besides Link, Synchro, so on and so forth. So that's fine. I don't care. Potter Desires at 3. No one's playing at 2, so I guess at 3 it doesn't really matter as well. It's one of my favorite cards, by the way, so I will be looking for ways to play Pot of Desires from the neg 10. And then Spellbook of Judgment, this card didn't really do anything at 3 in the OCG as well, and it did not do anything at 1. This card has been very powercraft. Guys, like, Spellbooks and Dragons were like 10 years ago, so they can definitely come back to 3 of each, I think. I don't mind. And then Sprite Starter to 3. Okay, I mean, Sprites were kind of getting powercraft as is. I like Sprites. As long as Sprite Alpha is still banned, it doesn't matter. They're not really going to do anything. I know Dinka Fam is probably going to play the Sprites now, because, yeah, they're his favorite deck. And then Upstart Goblin to 3. This one's kind of interesting, because, yeah, Patrick Hoban's going to have a field day with this. The OG Upstart Goblin, the Hoban Goblin, the Upstart Hoban. So the thing with this card is, now that Droll is heavily played, it just makes it so much worse. You could technically argue to play 3 copies of Upstart Goblin for the 37 card deck in a metagame where there's like no Droll being main deck, but like nowadays, a lot of players are going over 40 because they realize the consistency has already hit a cap. The deck's always going to be super consistent, so 40 cards versus 42 or 43 doesn't matter. And on top of that, you get to make your siding easier, your siding patterns easier with a bigger deck, and like you get to play more tech cards and more toolbox options to search. So it's like the consistency of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is now to such an extent that Upstart Goblin doesn't really matter. So I'm not really sure this will change anything. Plus, on top of it, conflicting with cards like Pot of Prosperity, which are very, very powerful, and, you know, Droll Knockbird, I don't think it'll change much, but I do like Upstart Goblin, so yeah, it helps for Sky Strikers, that's for sure, or like spell-based decks, maybe Spellbook of Judgment decks. Yeah, that's the nice little thing that I gave back. Overall, I'm very shocked with this ban list. I'm glad they made so many changes. There are obviously a lot of things that they could have done better, but hey, that's with every ban list, right? We gotta just take the silver lining, and I think they did an absolute great job. So huge shout out to Konami R&D for this ban list in general. I think a lot of changes means that a lot of players will get to experiment, but at the same time, this ban list doesn't change a lot, because once Phantom Nightmare comes out, it's going to be the metagame that's already defined by Konami so far. If we didn't even have a ban list, it probably would have been very similar. We would have gotten Fire King's Rescue Ace, and I still think we're going to get Fire King's Rescue Ace, all the Fire decks with Prisoner Princess and the Populace coming out. So there's not much changed with this ban list. It gives a lot of toys and tech options for us to play with, but overall, I think the metagame is still going to be very, very similar. So it's kind of one of those weird spots where the ban list is not caught up to the actual metagame and the packs that are coming out. But, I mean, I like it. I don't know about you guys. Let us know in the comments. What do you guys think about this ban list? Is this like a really good ban list, or is it one where you're like, oh, they could have done this different? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already to support the channel, and we'll see you guys all in the next video. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.